Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1, wants to presenting our discussion about what is poetry, reading poetry, dan speaker. Before we start the video, let us introduce our group. First one is me. I'm Silviana Yessa from English Literature Department.
My name is Edom Wijaya Samori.
My name is Ismi Hakim Z.
And I'm Vennesya Verqueen.
I'm Dion Erlangga Davidson.
And I am Nuraisyah.
Okay, the first topic is about what is poetry that will be presenting by Ismi Hakim. Ismi Hakim, take your time.
Thank you for moderator. My material is about what is poetry. The first point is about definition of poetry. Poetry is a form of literary art that uses aesthetic and rhythmic qualities of language to evoke meanings and emotions. And the second point is about importance of poetry. Poetry provides a unique way to express thoughts, feelings, and experience, allowing for deeper understanding and connection with the human condition. And the last point is about characteristic of poetry. The first characteristic is unique features of poetry. Poetry often employs figurative language, symbolism, and imagery to convey deeper meanings beyond literal interpretation. The second characteristic is structure and language use. Poetry may vary in structure, including rhyme, sim, stanza length, and line breaks, and utilize language in condensed and evocative manner. Next material is about forms of poetry. The first one is narrative poetry. Narrative poetry tells a story with characters, plot, and setting, such as epic poems like Homer's The Odyssey. And the second one is lyric poetry. For example, I Wander Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. This poem expresses the poet's personal emotions and feelings as he reflects on a moment when he encountered a pile of daffodils. And the last one is epic poetry. For example, is Paradise Lost by John Milton. This epic poem recounts the biblical story of the fall of man, focusing on the rebellion of Satan, the creation of Adam and Eve, and their subsequent expulsion from the Garden of Eden. And the last one is about examples of poetry. Examples, The Ribbon, I Wander Lonely as a Cloud, and Paradise Lost by John Milton. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ismi, for explaining what is poetry. So let's move on to elements of poetry that will be presenting by Silviana Yessa. Okay, first thing first, that have denotation and connotation. Denotation discusses the difference between the literal meaning of the words and the associated meaning and emotion that we call connotation, and they evoke. And the next one have rhythm and meter that explore the musical quality of poetry created by pattern of stresses and unstressed syllable that we call meter, and the flow of word that we call rhythm. And the last one is imagery and figurative language that examines how poets use vivid imagery and figurative language, such as like metaphor, similes, and personification to evoke sensory experience and convey abstract ideas. Okay, please next. There have a function of poetry. The first one is as an entertainment. Poetry provides enjoyment and entertainment through its beauty, creativity, and emotional resonance. The second one that have conveying message. Poems can serve as a medium for conveying social, political, and physical message, raising awareness and inspiring chants. And the last one have stimulating reflection and emotion. Yeah, poetry can encourage introspection, empathy, and emotional connection, fostering a deeper understanding of oneself and others. Next. And also that have famous poets such as like Shakespeare that are renowned for his sonnets and plays exploring themes of love, power, and human nature. And the second one have Emily Dickinson, known for her unique style and exploration of them like nature, death, and the human mind. Next have Langston Hughes, that's a landing figure of the Harlem Renaissance, celebrated for his powerful poems on racial identity, social injustice, and the American dream. We have also Pablo Neruda, that's a Nobel Prize-winning poet from Chile, celebrated from his passionate love poem and political activism. So, example of their works include excerpts from poems by each poet to showcase their style and adams. Okay, thank you. That's all from me. We can continue our material about reading poetry that will be presenting by Edom.
Thank you for the time, Walter. And the first material is reading poetry. Reading poetry involves interpreting the text using various techniques, such as analyzing literary device, word choice, and language structures. Poems are meant to be heard and reading. Reading them out loud helps to emphasize the importance of tone, pace, and stress. Okay, next. Next, I will explain about a simple guide to reading poetry. First one, read aloud. Start by reading the poem out loud. Listen to the rhythm and how the words sound together. So this step emphasizes the importance of engaging with the poem audibly. By reading it aloud, you can better appreciate its rhythm, flow, and the way the words sound together, which can enhance your understanding and enjoyment of the poem. And the second one, we have understand the structure. Look at how the poem is set up. Is it organized in a certain way? Understanding this can give clues about the poet's intentions. So here you're encouraged to analyze how the poem is organized. Examining its structure can provide insight in the poems. And then next, look at words. Pay attention to the language used. Notice any special ways the poet describes things, like comparing them to other things or giving them human traits. Focus on the language of the poets, including any figurative language such as metaphors or personification. These steps encourage you to pay attention to how the poet describes things uniquely, which can deepen your understanding of the poem's imagery and symbolism. And then we have figure out the message. Think about what poet is trying to say. How do the words make you feel? Consider the underlying message of the theme from the poem. Reflect on how the words evoke emotion and provoke thoughts, and consider a poet's intention behind their choice of words and imagery. And then we have considered the context. Think about when and where the poem was written. This can help you understand it better. Understanding the historical, cultural, and also biographical of context in which the poem was written can provide valuable insight into its meaning. Contextual factors such as poet's life experiences of sociological influences may shed a light on the poem's themes and symbolism. Okay, next will be presented by Vennesya.
Okay, this material will be presenting by me. Think about pictures and symbols. Pay attention to any image or symbols the poet uses. They can help you understand what the poem is about. Pay attention to any visual imagery or symbolic elements present in the poem. These images and symbols often carry deeper meaning and help you interpret the poem's message or themes more effectively. Okay, next. Be okay with not knowing everything. Sometimes poem can be a bit confusing, and that's okay. Just try to find your own meaning in them. Acknowledge that poetry can sometimes be ambiguous or open the interpretation. It's okay if you don't grasp every aspect of the poem immediately. Focus on finding your own understanding and meaning within. 8. Read carefully. Think about why the poet chose certain words or phrases. Try to see things from different angles. Take the time to analyze the poet word choice and consider the possible interpretation of specific phrases or lines. This step encourages you to approach the poem with a critical eye and explore multiple layers of meaning. Next. Number 9. Think about the author. Consider what else the poet has written and what they might have been going through when they wrote this poem. Consider the poet's background, other works, and personal experiences. Understanding the author's perspective and motivation can provide valuable context for interpreting the poem and uncovering its deeper layers of meaning. Let's talk about it. After reading, think about what you liked or didn't like about the poem. You can also chat with others about what they thought. Reflect on your own thought and feeling about the poem, and consider discussing it with others. Sharing interpretation and perspective can enrich your understanding and appreciation of the poem, as well as foster a deeper connection to its themes and message. Okay, thank you.
Back to the moderator.
Thank you, Edo and Echa, for the explanation. So we next to the last material about the speakers. That will be presentation from Dion and Aisha.
Alright, thank you to the moderator. I will explain about the speaker. Next slide, please. Alright, the definition about a speaker. A speaker refers to the voice behind the words or the persona assumed by the poet to convey the poem's message, thoughts, emotion, or narrative. It's not necessarily the poet themselves, but rather a created character or perspective through which the poem's message is conveyed. Next slide, please. Alright, the next material is about speaker roles. There are 3 speaker roles. The first one is the speaker is the link between the poet and the reader. It means the speaker serves as the intermediary through which the poet communicates with the reader. The second is speakers can strengthen the theme, atmosphere, and meaning in a poem. It means the speaker's perspective, tone, and language contribute the development and reinforcement of the poem's themes, atmosphere, and meaning. And the last is through speaker, poets can express their point of view. It means the speaker in poetry often reflects the poet's own point of view, experience, and emotion. Next slide, please. Alright, the next material is speaker elements in poetry. There are 4 speaker elements. The first one is identity. In identity, the speaker refers to who is speaking in the poem. This identity can be the poet themselves, a fiction persona created by the poet, or even an abstract entity. And the second is tone. The tone of the speaker sets the mood and atmosphere of the poem. It reflects the speaker's attitude towards the subject matter, whether it's joyous, melancholic, contemplative, sarcastic, or solemn. And the third is point of view. The point of view of the speaker determines how the events, emotion, and ideas are presented in the poem. And the last is language style. The language style used by the speaker encompasses the choice of words, imagery, metaphors, similes, and poetic device employed in the poem. I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisyah. So next, maybe we can continue with Dion.
Significance of the speaker. The speaker serves as the intermediary between the poem and the reader, shaping the reader's understanding and emotional response. Through the speaker voice, poets can convey them perspective and narrative elements, enriching the poem depth and complexity. The speaker tone, language, and perspective offer insights into the poem purpose and the poet's intentions. Next slide, please. Form of the speaker. First person speaker. The speaker directly addresses the reader using pronouns like I or we, offering a personal and intimate perspective. This form allows poets to express their own emotion and experience directly, creating a strong sense of connection with the reader. Second person speaker. Less common but still used. This form involves the speaker addressing the reader as you, creating a direct and immediate engagement. It often gives the impression of a conversation or a directive, inviting the reader to participate actively in the poem's work. Third person speaker. In this form, the speaker refers to characters or even using pronouns like he, she, or they, creating a more detached and observational tone. This perspective allows the poets to explore narrative and scenes from a broader perspective, providing insight into characters and actions. And the last is persona speaker. The speaker assumes the identity of a fictional character or persona, distinct from the poet themselves. This form allows poets to explore diverse perspectives, cultures, and experiences beyond their own, fostering empathy and understanding among the readers.
Okay, thank you, Dion, for the explanation. So, I think that's all from us, guys. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, you may put your comments and your question below this video. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.